This is TV18 and you're watching CNBC TV18.
Hi there, good morning. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV18 in the Mumbai News Center. I'm Manglam Malu. With me is Anisha Jain. Anisha, it's Friday, but yesterday we posted yet another record high despite the Nifty bank's underperformance. Today, the SGX Nifty indicates that maybe we start on the back foot. Let's see whether that gets bought into or not. Oh
yes, the global cues, as you said, are a bit mixed given the fact that there have been trade war concerns that have been escalating yet again. And of course, the political concerns in the US. Let's see. It looks like it's going to be an interesting session this Friday. First up, the top stories. US stocks closed lower as ongoing trade war between the US and China and worries of renewed legal issues for President Donald Trump dampened investor sentiment. All eyes now on the Jackson Hole, where Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell will deliver his address later today.
Impeaching me would crash the markets and the economy, says US President Donald Trump. This after Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen implicated the president over campaign finance violations before a federal court.
Former RBI Governor YV Reddy vociferously supports Urjit Patel's complaint that RBI doesn't have control over governance of public sector banks, says government had committed to hand over governance of PSU banks to RBI 25 years ago, but has not kept its word.
GST collections could slow down in July. Sources say the mop-up could be around 90,000 crore rupees, which is well below the collections in June, which stood at over 94,000 crore rupees.
Kerala's finance minister says the state needs at least 3,000 crore rupees for immediate relief from the floods, adds that the 600 crore rupees allocated so far by the centre is totally inadequate. Meanwhile, top diplomats back the centre's stand to reject foreign aid, but also blame it for handling the issue badly.
All right, look at the Asian markets. They are mixed as we speak as US-China trade tariff talks end with no breakthrough. The Nikkei, that one, however, is trading high by around close to around 65 points, and that's primarily because the dollar-yen, that's weakened above that 111 handle. Remember, in the earlier part of the week, it was around that 110.5 mark. Right now, it's weakened above that 111 mark, closer to that 111.5 mark, which is good news for the Japanese exporters. That explains the outperformance that we're seeing in the Nikkei as against the other Asian indices, which are weighed down by trade concerns, political concerns, and also a weak handover from the Wall Street. So if you take a look at the Korean index, that one's trading lower by about 0.1%. Along with that, we have Straits as well as the Taiwanese indices. Both of them should come up for you. The Straits sitting with 0.75% in terms of a cut. The Taiwanese index too sitting with 15-16 points on the lower side. However, we have to watch out for some macro data. Japan's core consumer prices in July, they rose by about 0.8% from a year ago. However, it was unchanged from the previous month's gain, also much below the government's or the country's own estimates, Bank of Japan's own estimates of about 2%. The SGX Nifty indicates a start at the back foot with a cut of almost 40 points. It will be very, very interesting to see whether this downtick gets bought into or not, because remember, yesterday, despite Nifty Bank's underperformance, despite the mid-cap index's underperformance, on the one end, we had Reliance holding up the index and the Nifty hit a 25th record high. So that will be very interesting to see whether we see some support at the lower levels or not.
Okay, interesting to see whether we get bought into from the lower levels or not. But the start suggests a start on the back foot. But that is because United States President Donald Trump has admitted to providing hush money to a porn star. This comes after his then attorney Michael Cohen implicated the president before a federal court of campaign finance violations. In an interview with Fox News, Trump also insisted that he only knew about the payments later on and added that the money wasn't taken out of the campaign finance. He went on to say that the stock markets would crash if he ever got impeached.
I'll tell you what, if I ever got impeached, I think the market would crash. I think everybody would be very poor, because without this thinking, you would see numbers that you wouldn't believe in reverse.
Well, the reaction of the legal concerns was seen on the Wall Street as well, because the stock market closed lower as most S&P 500 sectors fall. Ongoing trade war between the US and China and worries of renewed legal issues for President Donald Trump dampened investor sentiment. Now, the Dow, for example, dropped around 76 points, and the S&P 500 also closed 0.2% lower. While the Nasdaq, that one just slipped 10 points. CNBC's Leslie Picker gets us a wrap of all the action on Wall Street.
U.S. stocks losing ground today. The Dow off 76 points, the S&P down 4, and the Nasdaq lower by 10. U.S. home sales falling unexpectedly to a 9-month low in July, according to the Commerce Department. Sales falling 1.7% to their lowest level since October 2017. Economists polled by Reuters had forecast new home sales to rise in July. Meanwhile, Sears announcing today that it plans to close another 46 stores, 33 Sears locations and 13 Kmarts as losses grow. The struggling retailer already announced 200 store closures earlier this year. In the last 12 months, Sears' shares have dropped about 85%. And a major bonus for Tim Cook, Apple's CEO, will be awarded another 500,000 shares of Apple as of midnight tonight for outperforming the S&P 500 index. That amounts to a $120 million payday tomorrow. Cook plans to give much of those gains away. That's the action from the U.S. market. Back to you in Mumbai.
$120 million for Tim Cook. Well, that's some payout. But let's move on. Wharton School's Jeremy Siegel says the US market could pop another 10% if the China fight and NAFTA do get resolved. He also adds the headwinds for the market include a still pretty aggressive Fed and the November midterm elections. Let's watch out for these cues and hear him out.
Previous longest bull market ended in March of 2000 with the price-earnings ratio at 30 for the S&P. We're looking at 18 right now for looking at this year's earnings. So we are much less, so to speak, overvalued. And besides that, we were in a much higher interest rate environment than we are today. So I feel, you know, people say, oh my God, does it look like the last bull market? And we know what happened after that. And I said, no, it doesn't feel at all. If we can get China, NAFTA settled, I see a 10% pop in the market, because I think that's the, 800-pound gorilla that's kind of keeping the lid on prices now. The most important plus of the Trump administration was that corporate tax reform. That really was, a good 10, 12% of the earnings growth. 2/3 of the earnings growth this year, I think, is due to that tax reform. There's no signing of the Democrats get hold of the House that they can basically reverse that. The second thing, of course, I think is a better regulatory environment that the Trump administration has provided. Certainly think we can go higher. We do have a lot of challenges. When we've been talking, trade is still not settled. The Fed looks still pretty aggressive out there. We have midterm elections. Odds makers are saying that, that the Democrats are going to take the House. And so, my God, what's, basically going to happen there? So, I still think the next few months are going to be a challenge.
Economic data to watch ahead of the jobs data released later today. Weekly jobless claims slipped by 2,000 to 210,000 despite the ongoing trade worries. The number of Americans filing for unemployment benefits fell last week, signaling that the labor market was holding firm. Well, the data comes as leading central bankers are meeting for an economic symposium at Jackson Hole, where they will discuss the future of monetary policy. Most crucial is the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's address later today. CNBC's Sri Jagaraja reports on the same.
Been the voice of stability, and I think he's going to be really sticking to script. It's going to be a gradual pace of rate hikes, 2 more for the duration of 2018. But as expected, and Oriel touched on this, Trump's criticism of the Fed has been a factor that's really overshadowed this symposium at Jackson Hole. And from a pure perceptions point of view, bullying, coercing or pressuring any central bank to tighten policy is something of a dangerous game, and the consequences are all too too familiar look at Turkey. And it may be something of an extreme example, but I think it's a rather sobering reminder of the importance of respecting institutional independence. So two prominent Fed officials have now leapt to the Fed's defense. Esther George yesterday, the Kansas City Fed president, and we also heard from Dallas Fed President Robert Kaplan. This is what he had to say. And I've got to say, these Fed officials do seem somewhat embarrassed that they have to explain the fundamental point time and time again of central bank independence to the president. That being said, I think Mr. Trump is going to, unfortunately, continue to stick his oar in. Again, he's really speaking to his base here, opposing the idea of interest rate increases, although they are calibrated, although they are gradual. From the market's point of view, if Trump's goal ultimately was to talk down the US dollar, it's working. The dollar has snapped a 5-day losing streak, 3-week low for the dollar index at 94.93.4. The main event, of course, is Fed Chair Jerome Powell later today. Stick to script, no surprises. And I think at this point in time, there doesn't seem to be any economic rationale for the Fed to pause.
All right, so that is some important opinion coming as far as the way for markets as well as the Fed is concerned in the US. But let's go across the Atlantic. In Europe, the markets closed lower amidst ongoing trade spat after Beijing implemented new retaliatory tariffs against the United States on $16 billion worth goods. The German DAX as well as the UK FTSE ended almost 0.2% lower. There was commentary coming in. The UK released an advisory note which said how to deal if there was no Brexit deal. So that was something which was important. The DAX, on the other hand, we understand that the German Chancellor is looking at a German to head the European Commission. So that is something the street will be watching out for as well. The French market ended absolutely flat, just about 1 point in terms of a downtick. In terms of latest economic data, the marketing PMI, the Purchasing Managers Index for Eurozone manufacturing, fell to 54.6 in August, which is a 21-month low, down from 55.1 in July. The ECB, the European Central Bank, published its minutes from a meeting of policymakers which took place on July 26th. The ECB rate setters highlighted protectionism and global trade tensions as the biggest risks to the euro area. But that's as far as the euro area is concerned. When we see some cuts in the frontline indices, you have to take a look at the emerging markets. Both the Russian as well as the Brazilian index saw cuts of around 2%, 1.65 on the Brazilian index, and this comes after a near 2.5% cut in the previous trading session as well. The Russian index, which ended higher by about 0.6% in the previous trading session, saw all of them pulled away with a cut of about 2%. So money being pulled out of the emerging market space.
Okay, so a bit of red when it comes to the emerging markets, but let's take a look at what's happening in the currency space. The dollar edges up and remains buoyant after ending a long losing run ahead of a speech by Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell at Jackson Hole later today. Japanese yen weakens versus the US currency as well.
In the world of commodities, oil prices stabilize as an escalating trade dispute between the US and China offset a bullish report on US crude stockpiles.
Okay, it's time for a quick break on the show. Up next, we'll get you all the cues and news you need to know for trade this Friday morning. Stay tuned.
राखी के साथ साथ तेरी गालियां भी तो मिस कर रहा था।
हम जानते हैं पैसों से बढ़कर है अपनों की नोक-झोंक, इसलिए RBL बैंक चैट पे चैट करते करते पैसे भेजने का आसान तरीका। RBL बैंक, अपनों का बैंक।
हर स्माइल के पीछे एक और स्माइल होती है, जैसे आइसक्रीम के साथ पीछे खड़ी स्माइल भी हमारी हो जाती है। वो स्माइल जो काफी दूर से चल के आती है, कभी एक चेहरे से छलांग लगाकर दूसरे चेहरे पर जाती है, हर स्माइल अपनी मंजिल तक पहुंच ही जाती है। बस ऐसे ही रात दिन चलती रहती है हमारी स्माइल्स की चेन। बिहाइंड एवरी स्माइल, साइलेंटली एंड रिलायबली, किर्लोस्कर, एनरिचिंग लाइव्स।
प्रफुल्ल को बिरयानी इतनी पसंद आई कि पैक करवा के ले गया। तुम्हें पार्टी ऑर्डर्स लेने चाहिए। तुम बेकरी खोलना, नहीं रेस्टोरेंट, और त्रिशाज नाम रखना। तुम
तो ऐसे बोल रहे हो जैसे तुम ऋषि।
मैं रहूं या नहीं, त्रिशाज तो खुलना चाहिए।
मैनेजर बनोगे?
प्लान्स बनाते रहो, जिंदगी सजाते रहो। LIC के एंडाउमेंट प्लान्स, सेविंग्स और सिक्योरिटी दोनों के बेनिफिट्स के साथ। LIC, जिंदगी के साथ भी, जिंदगी के बाद भी।
Welcome back. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV18. Well, back home on the Lal Street, the market ended flat with a slight bit of positive bias. The Nifty ended below the 11,600 mark, but managed to end at another record closing high. The Sensex ended with a gain of around 50 points. The broader markets underperformed a tad bit because the mid-caps ended just shy of that 19,600 mark. The banks were the key laggards yesterday. Remember, it was the Bank Nifty weekly options expiry yesterday, so a tad bit of volatility there, with the index ending 230 points lower. But how the Qs stacked up for the day? Mangalam, what does the screen look like? Does it look like we are going to start on the back foot?
That's what the SGX Nifty is indicating, Anisha. So let's see what happens out there. But, you know, it's interesting because yesterday, yes, we did post a record high. Yesterday, yes, we did hear those drums at the open. The Nifty closed at record high as well. Why is it important? Optically, because it's the 25th record high for 2018. So, yes, a silver jubilee of record highs. That's a positive. Secondly, the market at a record high despite Nifty Bank's weakness. And the Nifty Bank's weakness, see, you have Nifty up 12 points, the Sensex up 51 points. The Nifty Bank was down by about 230 points, as you earlier pointed out as well. I will be very interested to see how that pans out in today's trading session. Was yesterday's downtick purely on account of the weekly options expiry? Does that get away? And once that is done away with, does the Nifty Bank lead the markets higher today or not is the big question. However, just take a look at the contributors. We had all the big boys playing in their part. Reliance, 8 lakh crores in terms of market cap, taking the Nifty higher by about 20 points. L&T, you spoke about the buyback as well. The buyback details came by. Infosys and TCS not doing too badly either. So not just the IT stocks, even the pharma stocks, they did fairly well. From the front line, we had Lupin, which was higher. From the mid-cap pharmaceutical stocks, we had Divi's as well as Granules. And finally, we come to consumption. Well, good commentary coming in from all the managements. And that is a positive for the consumption sector because, you know, earlier people were thinking that it's the low base which is taking the growth higher. With the analyst meets happening, the people believe that maybe this growth is secular and here to stay. So the likes of Nestle and Dabur, of course, moved. But we had United Breweries, United Spirits, Marico, Dabur. And if you wanted to extend their argument, even something like a Kajaria Ceramics moved higher. And all of this came on the back of FII's purchasing. FII's bought for the second day in a row 433 crores in the cash market. The domestic institutional investors bought as well. That is the cash market flows. However, if you take a look at the index futures, the next plate should come up for you. Out there, the FII's bought about 358 crores in yesterday's trading session. Why is that important? Because it was the first purchase that came in the last 8 days. I think we'll have to fix that plate. It's the first purchase by the FII's in index futures in the last 8 trading sessions, and that comes just ahead of the expiry week. Remember, the next week is expiry, so that is something I will be watching out for. Yes, the SGX Nifty is indicating a cut, but where is the support? Well, the maximum open interest in puts yesterday moved from 11,400 to 11,500. So your support is moving higher. At the start of the series, it was at 11,000. From there, it moved to 11,300, 11,400, and now it's at 11,500 ahead of the expiry week. So let's see whether that is held on or not. What are the things that can be party poopers? Well, we have political developments in the US that could perhaps, you know, take a bit of a breather, make our markets take a bit of a breather. Brent, that one hovers near $75 per barrel. The rupee is again back above that 70 mark. Yesterday closed at 70.11 versus the dollar, and the benchmark yield, that one's at 7.88. So those are things which may hamper the party a little bit more, but no real reason to worry that the market's going anywhere.
Okay, thank you, Manglam, for putting that picture so neatly for us. But in terms of the stocks, what are the stocks you'll be watching out for?
Well, yesterday in the last hour, we saw all the PSU banks rally, and today we have the finance minister who will meet the heads of all the PSU banks. In fact, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley and the interim Finance Minister Piyush Goyal as well. So we will watch out for any moves out there. Hexaware Technologies, IT stocks are in focus, and now we understand that a $170 million block deal has been launched at a floor price which is 10% lower than yesterday's close to around 447. Sellers, we understand, is bearing PE, and Citi is the sole book runner. So that is one stock we will keep an eye out on. Interestingly, HDFC Standard Life, Amitabh Chaudhary has sold about 2.5 lakh shares in the open market on that, and this in conjunction with the news reports that are doing rounds that Axis Bank is looking to hire him as for their top post. Well, this is something that the street will be watching out for. Britannia, they announced a stock split. Nothing fundamentally changes. It's just one cookie which is broken into two now. You still get to eat the entire cookie. However, the street will take notice of the fact that, the ticket size has reduced to about 3,700 odd whenever the record date happens. Music Broadcast. That one should come up for you. We have some management changes. That's music broadcast, so we will change that. CEO Abraham Thomas resigns, and Ashit Kukian has been appointed as the CEO. And finally, Bandhan Bank. That is something that Lata tells us. It completes 3 years of operations on Thursday. They have to bring down promoters' stake as per a mandate from 82% to about 40%. They've asked for an extension. Let's see whether they granted that or not, or what happens with that.
Okay, so lots of stocks that will be in focus today. But on that note, let's slip into a quick break. Up next, we'll get you snippets on what former governor of RBI YV Reddy had to say on the state of PSU banks and the fears surrounding the current account deficit.
Welcome to CNBC TV18 Weekender. I'm coming to you from the L&T Infotech campus in Mumbai. My guest for today is Sanjay Jalona. Sanjay has been steering L&T Infotech since 2015.
If you want to be a good leader, it helps you make a good dad. If you want to be a good husband, it helps you make a good leader. Hi guys, this is Sanjay Jalona. Catch me on CNBC TV18 Weekender.
कोई भी स्टेडियम छोटा नहीं होता, कोई भी गोल आखिरी नहीं होता, कोई भी लिमिट नहीं होती।
इस अगस्त इंडियन टीम एशियन गेम्स में अपने देश का झंडा गाड़ने जा रही है। इनकी जिद के साथ है एडलवाइस, टीम इंडिया बी अनलिमिटेड।
Ford Endeavour with terrain management system and panoramic sunroof. Because we want you to feel on top of the world. Ford feels like family for a change.
लो, शुरू हो गया इनका मॉर्निंग वॉक। रिटायर करना पड़ेगा। ऑनलाइन? अपना दिमाग मत चला। बम्पर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स चलते हैं। मेरी नादान दिल, Amazon पे ब्रांड वारंटी है। और डिलीवरी शेड्यूल्ड, यानी जब तुम चाहो, और डैमेज फ्री। पर बम्पर का मैनेजर तो फ्री जलजीरा पिलाता है यार। और इंस्टॉलेशन के लिए कितना रुलाता है? यहाँ 48 आवर्स में इंस्टॉलेशन की गारंटी है।
जब Amazon पे मिले होम अप्लायंसेस पे ब्रांड वारंटी, 48 आवर इंस्टॉलेशन, शेड्यूल्ड और डैमेज फ्री डिलीवरी, तब दिल भी खुश, दिमाग भी खुश।
बिजॉयदा, इस जंगल के तजुर्बेकार टूरिस्ट गाइड। और यहाँ हैं टाइगर्स, मैन ईटर्स। यहाँ घूमना काफी रिस्की हो सकता है, क्योंकि हमला पीछे से भी हो सकता है। पर बिजॉयदा को पता है कि यहाँ के टाइगर्स आंखों में आंखें डालकर हमला नहीं करते। कुछ ऐसी ही रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी के साथ हम आपके इन्वेस्टमेंट्स पर आने वाली रिस्क्स को मैनेज करना जानते हैं। एक्सिस म्यूचुअल फंड The responsible mutual fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Welcome back. Well, former RBI Governor YV Reddy has backed the current Governor Urjit Patel over his complaint that the central bank does not have control over the governance of PSU banks. Now, speaking at an event in Kolkata, Reddy said that the government had committed to hand over the governance of state-run banks 25 years ago when a panel had made that recommendation. But that has not happened till now. Reddy also spoke about fears surrounding the current account deficit, and he said that a 3% figure will be a worry.
Dr. Urjit Patel Governor said that there is a problem of dual control, that regulation is not ownership. The government says RBI has enough power. See, basically, this problem of dual control was raised 25 years back. Because public sector banks, the governance is controlled by the government, the regulation is done by the RBI. In the private sector banks, both the governance regulation and financial regulation are mixed. There is a government. This has problems. This problem was flagged in 1992-93 by National Committee. Many of the recommendations were implemented. This recommendation has not been implemented. This recommendation has not been implemented for 25 years. So therefore the problem remains. The government exercises some of the powers that the RBI exercises. In the case of private sector bank, in public sector bank, the government exercises such power. Consolidation is that combine two banks together. Then they will be better. If strong and weak combined, it's possible it will be strong, or it's not guaranteed that it will be stronger. And secondly, merely because it is size, it does not become more efficient. And the worldwide has been proven that consolidation may be successful or failure. But if the real problem is governance, how does consolidation help? The real problem is not the size, it's a question of governance. So I think we are ending up in a situation that the current solutions under discussion do not perhaps address the basic problem. Either the governance should be improved or there should be fundamental structural change. In India, current account, 3% is actually 2% or so is NRA remittances. NRA. So in a way it's like a gift. They are sending us gift irrespective of the exchange rate. So the current, if you adjust the current account deficit for the gift, then that shows the strength of the economy. So current account deficit plus what we received as a gift, the real current account deficit is just not 3, it's 5, if you take into account. So in that sense, we should be more worried about the current account deficit, unless you are able to say it's temporary. The limited point, let me go back, the current account deficit for the last 2 years, there was a positive shock element because the oil prices were very low. When the oil prices are very low, it is a favorable impact. So that was not the normal. So now that the positive shock is being removed, coming back to normal. If the normal is 3, then definitely, so the signals are require very careful attention to this.
Okay, let's move on and let's go on to the next story. The GST collections could slow down in July. Sources say the mop-up could be around 90,000 crore rupees, which is well below the collections in June, which stood close to 94,000 crore rupees. Timsi Jaipuria joins us with more details. Timsi, what's behind the slowdown and what should we make of this?
Well, GST collections may come in as a surprise for the government, as collections for the month of July are likely to be lower on both accounts, that is a year-on-year basis and a month-on-month basis. Sources told CNBC TV18 that collections may range in 89 to 91,000 odd crore rupees for the month of July, which will be reported in August and which will be announced by the government formally on 1st of September. Remember, last day to file GST returns in August is August 24 and October 5 for taxpayers in Kerala, which will be officially announced again, yes, on September 1st. Last year, the GST collections for July stood at over 94,000 odd crore rupees, and collections for June this year were over 96,000 odd crore rupees. Sources say that there are various reasons for a decline in the collections, such as low consumption in the last few days of July as the rate cut was announced on July 21. Also, monsoon traditionally is a season of low sales. This, coupled with less number of returns being filed, which is around 30 lakh returns till date, and most importantly, an impact of Kerala floods too, which has added to a slow return filing by corporates. Meanwhile, government officials told CNBC TV18 that next few months are going to be even more crucial for GST collection, as the impact of GST rate cuts announced on July 21 will reflect in August and September collections, which will be officially announced on October 1st and November 1st. Let's see what are the final figures and how much of a worry do they become for the government when it comes to meeting the daunting revenue collections target. Back to you.
Thank you, Timsi, for that. But time now for a short break. Up next, an exclusive conversation with Sanjay Jalona, CEO of L&T Infotech, on the company's growth and acquisition plans going ahead.
गल्फ प्राइड 40+, इसमें है ऑक्सिबिटर्स जो आपके बाइक को दे इंस्टेंट पिकअप। अब नए पैक में गल्फ प्राइड 40+ विद इंस्टा पिकअप योर राइड।
कोई भी जीत आसान नहीं होती, कोई भी जीत मुश्किल नहीं होती, कोई भी लिमिट नहीं होती।
इस अगस्त इंडियन टीम एशियन गेम्स में अपने देश का झंडा गाड़ने जा रही है। इनकी जिद के साथ है एडलवाइस, टीम इंडिया बी अनलिमिटेड।
Our country has always been lifted by intelligence. Intelligence for a higher purpose. Introducing the all-new E-Class. Intelligent drive. Burmeister surround sound. Air body control. And the first luxury saloon to offer reclining rear seats. So you have the finest E-Class ever. Masterpiece of intelligence.
Catch the India Business Summit Kolkata edition, where leaders discuss strategies for building customer relationships in a technology-driven world. At these times. Presented by ICICI Bank.
छोड़ो कल की बात, चलो आज के जमाने के साथ। भले कोई कल था नंबर 1, आज का नंबर 1 न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया, प्राइम टाइम का नंबर 1 न्यूज़ चैनल।
Higher third-party motor insurance cover from the 1st of September. What will the Supreme Court order mean for you? Watch Money, Money, Money to find out at these times.
Welcome back. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV18. Now, the decision on Chanda Kocher's reappointment will be taken only after the panel headed by Justice B. N. Sri Krishna submits its report. This, according to the chairman of ICICI Bank, G.C. Chaturvedi. Remember, ICICI Bank had appointed B. N. Sri Krishna to investigate allegations of conflict of interest and a quid pro quo against Kocher in the Videocon loan case.
Kocher is even today the Chief Executive Officer of ICICI Bank. The board has appointed Justice Sri Krishna committee, which is going into the things which have been alleged, and final decision will be taken only after getting the report of the commission. So I believe within the next 2.5 months, we'll be getting the report.
Okay, on to CNBC TV18 exclusive then. Sanjay Jalona, CEO of L&T Infotech, expects FY19 to be better than FY18. Speaking to Kritika Saxena, he adds that the company will focus on acquiring other smaller companies as well.
From your perspective, will FY19 be better than FY18 from L&T Infotech?
Definitely from LTI's perspective, we will see continued growth. We had FY17 we had around 10% growth. FY18 was around 17% growth. Where we sit today, we still have a few quarters to go, but we are very confident that the growth will continue.
Okay.
So we are quite positive, and you're seeing a rebound in the IT industry overall here.
Yeah. Do you think that the clients that you're working with, especially in North America, financial services clients, who had kind of hit the pause button, do you think they have more confidence now to be able to spend on discretionary spending?
I think that's what we are seeing. We are seeing a lot of discretionary spend come up there. Tax reforms have helped the companies. The companies are performing a lot better. Everyone's revenues and profitable growth is happening. So they are definitely finding newer ways to connect with the customer, keep the regulatory pressures on, spend a lot of money on analytics and so on and so forth. So I think there is a lot of positivity in the industry overall. And this is across the verticals.
Given the kind of discretionary investments that have gone into digital, what's the next target for margins?
See, we want to keep the margin at the band that we are in and focus on, and when you grow fast, you have additional margins that come into your kitty. We want to invest it all back into the business and grow faster. Our whole target has been keep the margin where they are. We are a growth company. People should look at us as a growth company. We want to push everything onto growth, whether it's acquisition, whether it's building capabilities, all that, hiring right sets of people, that's more important to me.
You spoke about acquisition. What's the next big target, Sanjay, for you? You made very interesting acquisitions till date. What specifically are you looking at? Would mid-cap companies interest you? Would it be scale, or would it be specific skill sets or specific product-driven IPs that will interest you?
Look, you never say never in an acquisition, but typically my mind is that we want to acquire for capabilities rather for size, right? In today's world, customers are not hiring you for scale. Customers are hiring you for expertise and capabilities. And that makes us move towards hiring companies with strong capabilities. They typically will be smaller companies. That's what you have seen us do. We have done 2 acquisitions in the last couple of years. But if the right opportunity comes, size should not be a problem. We have a strong support.
You will not shy away from making a big bet.
Absolutely not.
All right, interesting commentary coming in there. With that, we will slip into a short break. Come back, we take stock of what is taking place in Kerala. The state of Kerala is trapped in a war of words with the central government over foreign aid. Details on that once we're back.
Ford Endeavour with terrain management system and panoramic sunroof, because we want you to feel on top of the world. Ford feels like family for a change.
कोई भी स्टेडियम छोटा नहीं होता, कोई भी गोल आखिरी नहीं होता, कोई भी लिमिट नहीं होती।
इस अगस्त इंडियन टीम एशियन गेम्स में अपने देश का झंडा गाड़ने जा रही है। इनकी जिद के साथ है एडलवाइस, टीम इंडिया बी अनलिमिटेड।
हर स्माइल के पीछे एक और स्माइल होती है, जैसे आइसक्रीम के साथ पीछे खड़ी स्माइल भी हमारी हो जाती है। वो स्माइल जो काफी दूर से चल के आती है, कभी एक चेहरे से छलांग लगाकर दूसरे चेहरे पर जाती है। हर स्माइल अपनी मंजिल तक पहुंच ही जाती है। बस ऐसे ही रात दिन चलती रहती है हमारी स्माइल्स की चेन। Behind every smile, silently and reliably, Kirloskar, enriching lives.
Diageo and the Institute of Road Traffic Education's capacity building program for traffic police has made roads safer in 60 cities across 17 Indian states, training of 5,000 senior police officials. Watch Diageo and Network 18 presents Road to Safety at these times only on CNBC TV18.
9 to 5 job, अरे 5 to 9 job, भाग दौड़ all the time job. The roaming वाला job, the deadline वाला job, or are you living in the market वाला job?
Life is full of options. Choose a job and earn on your own terms. Choose to become an LIC agent. It's more than a job. It's career insurance. Be your own boss. Be an LIC agent. अब life set है.
Welcome back. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV18. Well, Kerala is slowly limping back towards normalcy after devastating floods in the state left more than 370 people dead and 8 lakh people displaced. The state's finance minister is pegging the total losses as of now at around 25,000 crore rupees. Now, as the relief and rescue efforts continue in full swing, the state is embroiled in a war of words with the central government over foreign aid. Now, this after the United Arab Emirates offers 700 crore rupees for the relief efforts and the central government politely declined foreign assistance, saying that it is in line with the existing policy. But now the Kerala Chief Minister as well as the Finance Minister cited the National Disaster Management Plan, which allows the centre to accept foreign aid. In fact, the Kerala Finance Minister called the centre's stand a dog in the manger policy. Here is Union Minister of State for Home Affairs Kiran Rijiju and Kerala's Finance Minister Thomas Isaac on this controversy.
The 600 crores given by the centre is totally insufficient. Now, centre may have its own problems of fiscal deficit and perhaps cannot give more grant to state. And therefore, I am saying, all right, give me the right to have a cess on SGST. It does not affect the industry trade. It does not affect the revenues of centre. So why should they be bothered? Okay, you won't give more money. You say you will consider, but no assurance. Now, the assurance of this kind, you can run a state government. I need assurance, not just a wish, but a total commitment. That I understand there is some difficulty for them. Then permit me to mobilize my own revenue. Permit me to collect whatever donation that comes in.
There should be no politics on any kind of natural calamities because foreign aid or our internal aid, everything has to move with a policy. And I'm not going to describe about the policy. What is important is to deal with the disaster which is already there. People are facing the hardship, and to provide relief and rehabilitation is the priority. Let us not get into the foreign aid or policy matter because it is diversion. There should be no division or no politics on natural disaster.
Okay, with that, we move on to some retail news. The fresh food retail chain Goodridge Nature's Basket is eyeing revenues of close to 1,000 crores, and this is by FY22. The company is now focusing on expanding its store network, also has bought a minority stake in Goa-based retail chain Maxence. Speaking to CNBC TV18's Priya Sheth, Avni Davda, who's the managing director of Goodridge Nature's Basket, also said that the company is open to partnership with foreign players. Listen to that interesting conversation.
Over the last 2 years at Nature's Basket, we've changed the way our entire proposition works, and we've seen early success with store-level profitability and with an omni-channel play. So we take our leverage in terms of supply chain, assortment management, the store ambience. We share that with him with our minority stake, treat those stores as our own, and help him scale up profitably. And over 2 years, we can then decide how we want to co-brand. Today, Maxence is about 12 to 13 stores in Goa at about 50 to 60 crores of top line. We're at about 400 crores. With this, I think we can easily close the year with 50 plus stores in Goa, Pune, Bombay and Bangalore. Most of the stores in the 3 cities will be our own, and with this minority stake, we also add 12 stores in Goa itself. I think the way that we've structured the deal is that over a year, once we see improvements in the profitability, we help them in the supply chain, assortment management. At the end of 2 years, we can co-brand the stores and increase our stake in a creeping way.
1,000 crore rupees is the target as far as revenues are concerned for FY22. How much of this will be driven by regional partnerships? If you could give us some percentage of how much of your revenues would come from regional partners.
I think we're open at this stage. Like I said, Maxence is about 50-60 crores. Adding that, we would be about 500 crores at the end of this financial year itself. And over the next 2-3 years, easily, 20-25% of the business. I can't put a number because I think it's exploratory. If we find regional players who really fit the bill.
Would you be open to partnering with a larger foreign player at this point in time?
I think Goodridge is, has a deeper relationship with India, over 100 years with the consumer. It's a brand recognized for the way that the culture is driven and how business is driven ethically. For us, I think for any foreign player, I think partnering with the likes of Goodridge is always very interesting when they look at a geography like India. We're open to partnerships. We're very clear that we will do it within whatever is the laws within the country. And as and when FDI opens up, we'll be very happy to engage with such partners and take it forward.
So who's approached you so far then?
I think I wouldn't divulge in terms of the names, but broadly and in principle, I think we're fairly clear that we have ample ammunition to grow on our own. We have an asset-light strategy to grow, and as and when there is a good chemistry with a foreign player and the laws permit it, we will go forward with that.
Okay, so looking at a revenue of 500 crores in FY19 and 1,000 crores over the next couple of years. But on that note, let's take a short breather on the show. Up next, we'll get you a check on the cues to watch from the futures and options space.
CNN News 18 is ahead of times now. 24.2% viewers choose CNN News 18. CNN News 18 on your side.
कोई भी जीत आसान नहीं होती, कोई भी जीत मुश्किल नहीं होती, कोई भी लिमिट नहीं होती।
इस अगस्त इंडियन टीम एशियन गेम्स में अपने देश का झंडा गाड़ने जा रही है। इनकी जिद के साथ है एडलवाइस, टीम इंडिया बी अनलिमिटेड।
लो, शुरू हो गया इनका मॉर्निंग वॉक। रिटायर करना पड़ेगा। ऑनलाइन अपना दिमाग मत चला, बम्पर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स चलते हैं। मेरी नादान दिल, Amazon पे ब्रांड वारंटी है और डिलीवरी शेड्यूल्ड, यानी जब तुम चाहो और डैमेज फ्री। पर बम्पर का मैनेजर तो फ्री जलजीरा पिलाता है यार। और इंस्टॉलेशन के लिए कितना रुलाता है? यहाँ 48 आवर्स में इंस्टॉलेशन की गारंटी है।
जब Amazon पे मिले होम अप्लायंसेस पे ब्रांड वारंटी, 48 आवर इंस्टॉलेशन, शेड्यूल्ड और डैमेज फ्री डिलीवरी, तब दिल भी खुश, दिमाग भी खुश।
CNBC TV18's Manisha Gupta speaks to industry experts at the Platinum Buyer-Seller Meet 2018 on leveraging current disruptions to fuel business growth and attracting today's millennial consumers. At these times, only on CNBC TV18. Presented by Platinum, India's fastest growing jewelry category.
Every morning on CNBC TV18's Bazaar Morning Call, data gets transformed into expert insights that drive decision-making.
I don't watch business channels. If I do watch, I watch CNBC.
Any market moves because of liquidity.
The Asian screen is green.
The market has done remarkably well.
Stocks expected to be under pressure today.
The market is heading up.
For policymakers, CEOs and decision makers.
The first channel I put on is CNBC TV18 because I want to know the business news.
From minute-by-minute analysis to expert inputs and global views, you get the news before it hits the trading floor. Bazaar Morning Call. At these times, only on CNBC TV18.
Morning Call brought to you by Motilal Oswal and Yes Bank. India Bole Yes.
Welcome back. Let's get a check of what's happening in the world of commodities. And Manisha Gupta, as always, joins us for more. Manisha, crude closing back to that $75 per barrel mark now.
Well, it is, yes, and there are some global cues to keep an eye on because of that. One, of course, the most important global event to keep an eye would be the Jackson Hole Summit. This is also Powell's first, speech in a summit like that. So the markets would want to keep a keen eye on this one. Apart from that, China has slapped 25% tariff on the U.S. oil products. The latest list that has gone through also has energy on it, and that would impact the energy prices also. China, in any case, has been cutting down imports from U.S. in the last few months, and now this additional tariff would actually bring it further down. Apart from that, you have seen the U.S.-China end the two-day talk without really a breakthrough, and that is something that the markets don't like. The crude also seems to be getting support from the looming Iran sanctions that would start from November, and the markets would start seeing an impact of that from the next couple of months itself. So there's plenty happening in the global markets and not exactly related to demand, but that really seems to be supporting the crude oil prices as of now. The other sector which isn't doing so well today is the metal space. You have seen the US dollar gain up yet again. The rate hike outlook September onwards that really seems to be proving negative for many of these metals. And then again, the US-China ending the two-day dock without a conclusion, without so much as a positive statement, is something that really seems to be dampening sentiment here as well. So copper prices, gold, all of that seems to be slightly under pressure in the last day of the week today.
All right, Manisha, thanks a lot for that. Let's shift focus back to the equity space, this time the futures and options space, and a couple of interesting developments yesterday that took place in the futures and options space. The first one, the FIIs, they bought in index futures to the tune of about 358 crores. Now, optically, this looks like a small number, but remember, sentimentally, it's positive because they bought in index futures after 8 sessions of selling, and this after the Nifty posted a 25th record close in yesterday's trading session, so the trend should come up for you. More importantly, it is the expiry week the next week, so let's see which way the camel turns as far as the moves on the market are concerned. As far as index options are concerned, there is strong support at 11,500. Remember, earlier 11,500 call had the maximum open interest. Now that baton has been passed to 11,500 put. So what was a resistance earlier has now become a strong support. 11,600 put continues to see some writing. Along with that, we have 11,500 put, which continues to see some writing as well. A lot of long positions added on consumption names, the likes of Marico as well as United Breweries, which moved yesterday, and we have some shorts which ran for cover in a couple of stocks, the likes of Nestle, which hit a record high. Along with that, we had Kajaria Ceramics, which hit a fresh monthly high, at least as far as yesterday's moves are concerned. So we saw some short covering there too.
Okay, Mangalam, thank you so much for putting that picture for us. But let's move on and talk about a CNBC TV18 exclusive then. Ruchi Soya lenders approve resolution plan submitted by Adani Wilmar. Ritu Singh joins us with more details on that. Ritu, good morning, over to you.
Good morning, Anisha. That's right. You know, Adani Wilmar was already declared the highest bidder for Ruchi Soya by the Committee of Creditors, and they've started the voting for approving the final resolution plan yesterday. And as of last night, about 96% of the Committee of Creditors voted in favor of the proposal that was submitted by Adani Wilmar. Just remember, is higher than what Patanjali had offered in the 2 rounds of bids that were conducted. The offer stands at close to 6,014 crore rupees, which includes about 4,300 crore rupees repayment to lenders and about 1,700 crore equity infusion into the company, which if you look at the debt of the company, which was originally at close to 9,000 crore rupees, could be slightly higher now, will result in a haircut of just around 60% for the lenders. So now the next step will be to take this resolution plan and submit it to NCLT for their final approval. Remember, Adani had already gone ahead and secured a CCI approval for this acquisition even before the lenders approved this plan. So the big banks that stand to benefit with the resolution of Ruchi Soya are State Bank of India, Central Bank, Punjab National Bank, Corporation Bank, and ICICI Bank and IDBI Bank among the largest lenders.
Okay, Ritu, thank you so much for that. So interesting to see what happens of that particular story, given the fact that it has been doing rounds for a while that Adani Enterprises, which owns Adani Wilmar, would be looking to buy up stake in Ruchi Soya. But Mangalam, Ruchi Soya in terms of the asset, do you have any color on how does that one look?
You know, the only point is that you just said that the stocks which will get impacted is Adani Enterprises, right, and Ritu said the banks. For Ruchi Soya itself, they do not get anything. It's the banks who get things. For Ruchi Soya, you know, over the last 5-6 years, the finance cost has been higher than the market cap. So the investors of Ruchi Soya might not get. With that, I think our director is saying we've run out of time on Power Breakfast. As we do that, just take a look at the picks of our bullseye contestants for the last day of this week. Thank you for watching.
My first call today is a buy call in Adani Ports, with stop loss below 376 for target of 395. My second pick is a buy call in Pidilite, with stop below 1120 for target around 1210. My third pick is a buy call in L&T Finance Holdings, with stop loss below 174 for target of 201. And my last call is a buy call in Tata Chemicals, with stop loss below 692 for target around 740.
The first buy recommendation is on Pidilite. One can buy Pidilite for a target of 1189 with a stop loss of 1139. The second buy recommendation is on Sonata Software. One can buy Sonata Software for a target of 369 with a stop loss of 349. The third buy recommendation is on TVS Motors. One can buy TVS Motors for a target of 560 with a stop loss of 529. And a final buy recommendation is on Persistent Systems. One can buy Persistent for a target of 904 with a stop loss of 848.
First call for today on the buy side is going to be HCL Tech.
and one can create long position in HCL Tech, keeping a stop loss of 998 for the target of 1097. Next stock on the buy side is going to be Merck, and one can create long positions in Merck, keeping a stop loss of 3004 for the target of 3304. The next stock on the buy side is going to be United Breweries, and long positions can be created in United Breweries with stop loss of 1406 for the target of 1546. And the final call on the buy side is going to be Colgate. One can continue to hold on the long positions in Colgate with a stop loss of 1159 for the target of 1275.